Siguro si James naman ngayon. James, would you like to lead the prayer so that we can proceed with the lecture topic?
Sige po.
Okay.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful time, this wonderful day, for gathering us, for this very remarkable opportunity to prepare for the upcoming licensure examination. Bless all of us, dear Lord, so that we will be guided accordingly, and also bless our reviewer so that she will have the strength to guide us all along the way. And all of this we ask in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Parang magkapareho yung boses ni James at saka si Vincent. Meron ba? Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, ba?
Yes, ma'am,
Yeah,
konti.
konti ano. So parang akala ko I look again at Zoom and then sabi ko si Vincent ba yung nagsasalita? Si James naman yun eh, di ba? So anyway. At least ano, hi Vincent. At least familiar na ako sa inyo halos lahat ano. So I would like to ano have all of you lead the prayer so you be ready with your prayer, opening prayer every night para at least ready tayo, no? Maganda man na tayo nagpa-pray para ano not only to produce passers for this license for the 2025 licensure examination, but produce top-notchers also. It's not very ambitious, diba? Kasi producing top-notchers would mean we will be producing excellent planners, ano? Kasi like for example, ako tatanda ako so some people would replace yung mga seasoned, yung mga matatanda, di ba? Ganun naman talaga. So, okay. I think we need to start with I've done multiple nuclei, but meron yung black and white dyan din na image na hindi ko so daanan lang natin, Jen. You can sige lang. Sige. The black and white one. I think that's sige lang, after. Hindi siya pabalik. We've done concentric kasi yan yung ups, hindi. Balik mo ulit. Wala ba yung ano? Sige lang, keep going. And, okay, that's the one. That's the one. Okay, kita mo yan. So, that's the image. So, that one, multiple nuclei theory by Ullman and Harris. So, that's the comparison, right? Between the two. Okay. So, moment. Tapos ko ba yan? Or may iba bang klase na hindi pa, no? So, let's see. Okay. So, moment lang, ha? So, kasi I'm using two screens. Pero I think I also asked that during the exam. Let's see. Where is that image na malaki? Anyway, Yeah, there are two, one multiple nuclei model theory and then okay. There are key concepts, there are key principles. Let's start with the multiple growth centers. Okay. I'll start with, because unlike the older models, where cities were thought to grow from a single nucleus, typically the central business district. You remember the concentric and yeah, concentric primarily. This theory argues that growth occurs around several nodes, each developing based on specific needs such as industry, probably retail, residential areas, commercial areas, and more. While specialization of nodes, as one of as another key principle, each nucleus within each nucleus within the city has its own specialized function. For instance, an industrial nucleus might form near transport routes, while a retail or commercial nucleus might develop closer to residential areas for convenience. So this allows the city to meet different economic and social needs simultaneously. As city expand, new growth centers emerge away from the original core, leading to decentralization. So in modern urban areas, this is often observed in the development of suburbs, business districts, and industrial parks, reducing the dependency on a singular city center. So the development of nuclei is influenced by land use, compatibility, and spatial relationships. Certain land uses, such as high-income residential areas, tend to repel others, like industrial zones and more, leading to a spatial organization that minimizes conflict and maximizes efficiency. For example, factories would not typically be located near luxury residential areas. So another key principle there that we can find in that in those concepts is the polycentric urban form, many centers, okay? Um, the diagram showcases how the city develops around multiple centers rather than a singular core. So can you see that multicentric or multi-nodal? So um, each circle in the image represent a center of activity, which is the nucleus, where various functions, commercial, industrial, residential, and more, develop independently. Now, for the transportation networks such as roads, highways, railways, they play a key role in the formation and linkage of these nuclei. New business and residential areas often grow around transportation routes, making the city polycentric and enhancing accessibility between these nuclei. Now, when applying this in urban planning or in our generation now, urban planners using the multiple nuclei model can distribute land uses strategically to minimize land use conflicts. For instance, planners can ensure that industrial areas are located in regions where they do not negatively impact residential or commercial zones. So another application is when a cities expand, understanding the formation of multiple nuclei can help planners anticipate where new growth centers are likely to develop. So proper management of these nuclei can prevent urban sprawl and create more efficient urban forms. In terms of transportation and infrastructure, it's essential in connecting different nodes. Planning efficient public transportation and road networks is crucial to support movement between multiple centers, ensuring easy access for residents and businesses. Now, many large metropolitan areas today, such as in the global context, such as LA, Tokyo, they exhibit polycentric development where there are several business districts, industrial hubs, and residential zones spread throughout the city, connected by extensive transportation systems. So the theory reflects the increasing complexity of modern urban development where decentralization and specialized growth centers play a vital role in shaping the urban landscape. We can go to the next one, Galactic City by Pierce Lewis. So that was proposed by Pierce Lewis, which represents a postmodern interpretation of urban development. So this model is particularly relevant for contemporary cities experiencing suburban sprawl and decentralized growth. Just a moment. Okay. So we only have how many slides here? O madami pa palang slides. Okay, just so the Galactic City, they are also referred to as the Galactic Metropolis, which emerges from what is termed leapfrog development. Are you familiar with leapfrog development? We must be very familiar because we can use it like for everyday use in your work. Leapfrog. So this term describes a process where urban growth skips over certain areas. So it's spatial or spatial to create new developments in more desirable locations. So that's happening in Clark, for example. Okay, leading to a unique spatial structure. So we call that nucleations in the galactic city. In this model, nucleations are likened to a galaxy of stars and planets, with some of these nucleations evolving into distinct urban centers. So this concept illustrates the decentralized nature of urban growth, where instead of a singular central business district, cities develop multiple nodes of activity. So what are edge cities? It's actually Galactic City. Okay, one of the aspects of Galactic City is the formation of edge cities. Why is that so? These are analogous to the central business district of emerging urban centers and are situated in suburban areas. So they arise as new urban centers scattered throughout the suburban ring that encircles the older central city. Did you get that? So this phenomenon reflects shifting patterns in where people live and work, highlighting the suburbanization of urban life. There's also the donut shape. So we're all about forms and shapes here. So that actually the donut shape is the end result of this urban arrangement. So that's why donut shape, because it often resembles a donut shape. The center of the city is maintained at a relatively low density, while greater activity is distributed along the ring roads that connect these edge cities. So do you see that it became like hollow, and leaving that the center a bit relaxed. So this is spatial configuration creates a dynamic urban environment wherein various nuclei function independently while remaining interconnected. So what are the implications of this for urban planning if we apply it? Um, so it's important to understand Galactic City model for especially for us urban planners and designers, as it highlights the necessity for adaptable planning strategies. So as urban areas continue to expand, recognizing the significance of edge cities and nucleations allows for better infrastructure planning and resource allocation. So moreover, this model challenges traditional notions of urban hierarchy and encourages us to rethink our approaches to urban design, transportation systems, and community development. The diverse and decentralized nature of the galactic city necessitates a collaborative approach among urban planners, architects, engineers to create cohesive and functional urban landscapes. So if we can go to the next one, the hybrid model. So it's not the first time that we have hybrid something, right? Hybrid class, hybrid everything, hybrid car. But in 1955, we already have the hybrid model by Walter Isard. So um, the hybrid model was or developed by Walter Isard in 1955 synthesizes the strengths of the concentric sector and zonal models commonly used in American urban planning. This model reflects a more complex understanding of urban land use and spatial dynamics within cities. What are the key features of the hybrid model? Um, so the hybrid model illustrates how various urban land uses are oriented along major transport access, often referred to as sectors. Please remember that, okay, I will repeat that the hybrid model illustrates how urban land uses are oriented along major transport access we often call sectors. Okay, this orientation emphasizes the significant role of transportation infrastructure plays in shaping urban form and functionality. So in this model, in terms of land use distribution, land uses such as industrial and commercial areas are strategically located in specific nuclei. These nuclei are positioned where they can benefit from both scale and agglomeration economies. So I hope you understand agglomeration economies. Um, Scale economies refer to the cost advantages that businesses experience when production becomes efficient as the scale of operation increases. Agglomeration economies, on the other hand, occur when businesses and services cluster together, fostering collaboration and resource sharing. So the distribution of urban land use in the hybrid model demonstrates an overlay of various transportation effects. This complexity allows for a more nuanced understanding of urban dynamics, recognizing that different areas may serve distinct functions based on their accessibility and location relative to transportation networks. So, speaking of implications for urban planning, the hybrid model serves as valuable framework for urban planners because it highlights the importance of integrating transportation planning with land use strategies, and by acknowledging the interactions between various urban functions and their spatial arrangements, planners can create more efficient, connected, and resilient urban environments. So we can go to the next one, next model, which is inverse concentric model. So by the word inverse, and you would only be able to appreciate it if you understood concentric model. If you understood it very well, you became more familiar with concentric model, then you inverse it. So the others, I mean, the concentric model is being reversed here because the inverse concentric model presents an alternative perspective on urban spatial organization, challenging traditional notions as outlined in the concentric model by Burgess. What are the key assertions of the model? Number one, unlike the concentric model, which suggests that wealthier individuals move outward from the center, the inverse concentric model asserts that it's primarily the poorer population that relocates away from the center urban core. This shift underscores the socio-economic dynamics that influence urban migration patterns. Number two, key assertion of the model. The elite maintain a stronghold in the central city, indicating that affluence is concentrated closer to the urban core. This proximity allows for easier access to amenities and services that are often located within the city center. Number three assertion or key assertion is that the model illustrates a clear gradient of social status that diminishes with increasing distance from the central city. This phenomenon reflects the distribution of resources and infrastructure that tends to be more favorable in urban centers compared to peripheral areas. So there's what we call the urban structure and land use in this inverse concentric model. Number one, you can see old CBD there, which is central to the model, right? The old CBD. And this area serves as the original hub of activity. That's why it's called old, because it will go out, it will, when it expands and it seeks its own way to become a new CBD. So let me continue that. The urban redevelopment projects there, it's the zone, these areas reflect ongoing changes and improvements within the city. Then there's the pedestrian malls and zones of transition. I hope you can memorize this or become more familiar. These are areas undergoing significant transformations, often characterized by mixed-use developments. Then residential areas, the model highlights the progression from pre-war to post-war housing, illustrating the evolution of urban residential landscapes. Then commercial areas, which includes major malls and shopping centers. These locations are strategically positioned to serve the urban population. So the inverse concentric model prompts urban planners and policymakers as an implication for urban planning to reconsider their strategies. It emphasizes the importance of addressing the needs of both the affluent and the underprivileged within urban settings. So, um, understanding this model can facilitate more equitable urban development, ensuring that all residents have access to essential services and opportunities regardless of their socioeconomic status. We can go to the next slide, inverse concentric model. Okay, still a continuation anyway. Um, that one. So what did it say there? Yeah, it's just a description that um emphasizing the key concepts of the model, the centralized affluence, whereby it says in contrast to traditional models, the inverse concentric model suggests that the elite and upper class populations reside in the central urban areas, right? So that's the one. It's just an iteration. Uh, yeah, because unlike concentric, um, this one, they are considered more desirable than the surrounding suburbs. So this pattern is a significant departure from the expectation that wealthier individuals would move outward from the center. Then there's the emphasis on social status gradient, which I already explained. Then reversal of traditional patterns. Um, so yeah, it also it also mentioned factors influencing, okay, urban structure. So like transportation dynamics, and then administrative and cultural functions. So we can go to the next one. Um, so that's is that the bazaar one? Yeah. So mm, the concepts, the concept there is the is on Terry McGee's urban patterns in South and Southeast Asian cities. Okay. And then it highlights the unique configurations that define urban development in this region. So the Bazaar City, we need to understand that in Terry McGee's urban patterns, this urban model reflects the traditional market-oriented city structure where economic activities are concentrated in vibrant bazaar areas. These zones often serve as hubs for commerce and social interactions, embodying the local culture and lifestyle. So the bazaar city showcases the integration of informal and formal sectors with vendors and businesses operating in close proximity to residential areas. So colonial city there, or the colonial city model represents the historical influence of colonial powers on urban development, typically characterized by wide boulevards and distinct zones for different socioeconomic classes. These cities reveal the legacy of colonial planning. Central areas often feature administrative and commercial buildings, while residential areas reflect varying degrees of affluence. This model highlights the spatial inequalities that persist as a result of historical governance and urban policies. Planned city. So there's the planned city In contrast to the more organic growth patterns of bazaar and colonial cities, planned cities are designed with specific layouts and infrastructure from the outset. These cities often prioritize order, efficiency, and modern amenities, incorporating elements such as zoning regulations and organized transportation systems. So the planned city model is essential for accommodating rapid urbanization and population growth, aiming to enhance the quality of life for residents through strategic urban planning. Then is it number 4? Okay, okay. Let's see let me just look at the image. So the presence of a market gardening zone indicates the integration of agricultural practices within urban environments. This area provides local food sources and contributes to the sustainability of urban areas. It showcases how cities can blend agricultural activities with residential and commercial spaces, promoting food security and community engagement. Did you get that? Then another one is the zoning for residential areas, including squatter settlements. Sorry for the term, but that's part of the concept. Reflects the socio-economic diversity within these cities. Squatter areas, again, excuse me for the term, often emerge as a response to rapid urban migration, characterized by informal housing and limited access to services. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for urban planners as they seek to address housing shortages and improve living conditions for marginalized communities. So in summary, MACG or MACG's model emphasizes the complex interplay between historical influences, economic activities, and urban planning in shaping the cities of South and Southeast Asia. Okay, so recognizing these patterns is essential for effective urban management and sustainable development in rapidly evolving urban landscapes. We can go to the next one. We can skip that anyway. That's just a map of Metro Manila showing yeah, those multiple, nuclei and all those that we just learned. So we can go to the African model. Is it the African model? Okay. So again, look at that. The African model presents a unique complexity on urban development, primarily influenced by local cultures. This model demonstrates how cultural practices shape the built environment, making it challenging to categorize cities into singular or binary frameworks. The diversity in urban forms reflects the rich tradition or rich culture, languages, and histories across the continent. So the difficulty in creating comprehensive models arises from the various influences that govern urban growth. Unlike other regions, African cities do not conform to a monolithic structure, necessitating a nuanced understanding of local dynamics. Each city possesses distinct characteristics shaped by historical context, ethnic compositions, and socio-economic conditions. A generalized scheme for the African urban model must be sensitive to local cultures. It requires recognizing the pervasive influence of international forces, both Western and non-Western, that play a role in urbanization processes. So, that diagram there, illustrates key components of an African city, such as the colonial CBD, traditional neighborhoods, and informal market zones. The inclusion of squatter settlements, further emphasizes the need for adaptive strategies in urban planning, as these areas represent the dynamic nature of urban growth and the challenges of providing adequate services. So in conclusion, the African urban model underscores the importance of what context-specific approaches to urban planning. It highlights the interplay between local culture and global influences, advocating for more inclusive understanding of urban development that accommodates the diverse realities of African cities. The next one, Latin American model, next model. So this one is really a unique structure. Can you see that, like a trunk there, the spine? So, okay. The Latin American urban model illustrates a distinct structure shaped by historical and socio-economic factors. At the core of this model lies the CBD, which serves as the original colonial city. So the CBD is surrounded by various zones that reflect the city's socio-economic stratification. The spine there is a significant feature of this model, representing a high-quality expansion of the CBD designed to cater to the wealthy or to the affluent. This spine facilitates access to the central area. You can see the illustration. And connects various commercial and residential sectors, enhancing economic activities along its corridor. So adjacent to the
Sana,
spine, the
hindi mo
uh,
maglagay vibes.
sorry, can you unmute? Can you mute? Okay. Can you mute, please? So adjacent to the spine is the elite residential sector. Please be guided by the legend by the legend. So elite residential sector where affluent populations reside. This area is characterized by well-developed infrastructure and amenities, making it desirable for higher income groups. Then the zone of maturity follows, consisting of gradually improved self-built housing. This area accommodates resources or residents who may not afford the elite sector but still benefit from enhancements made over time. Next is the zone of accretion, which serves as a transitional space between more affluent areas and those of lower socioeconomic status. It contains modest housing and is indicative of ongoing construction and improvement efforts. Lastly, the zone of peripheral squatter settlements. Again, it is a technical term used in the model. So excuse me, we don't need to really emphasize this, but I just need to to describe that one, how they use the term. It comprises informal housing where many recent migrants reside. These areas starkly contrast with the affluent sectors, often reflecting inadequate infrastructure and services. So the Latin urban model exemplifies the complex interplay of social class, urban planning, and economic activity, highlighting the need for tailored approaches in urban development that address the diverse realities of the cities. So we can move on to describe more about next slide, Latin American model. So it says there, the Latin American model highlights city life as predominant culture norm. So can you imagine what they have as a culture. So most employment opportunities are situated in downtown areas where individuals typically live within the city or its peripheries, relying on public transportation for commuting. Latin American cities are characterized by their vibrancy, dynamism, and specialization. They often consist of two primary components, a modernized CBD and a traditional market area featuring small, street-oriented businesses. So quite unique, right? These zones are interconnected, forming what is known as the spine, as I mentioned earlier, which extends outward along major boulevards, catering primarily to the upper middle class. So the affluent population tends to reside closest to the CBD, benefiting from its amenities. Surrounding the CBD, the commercial spine plays a crucial role, providing access to essential urban amenities such as parks, theaters, restaurants. So strict zoning laws and land controls in these areas protect affluent residents from encroachment by lower income groups. So what did you observe there about the being segregationist, right? So a ring highway or periferico, or please remember the terminologies. It's because it's a Latin American, so Spanish. Okay, a ring highway or periferico connects the mall and developing industrial parks, facilitating economic activity. The urban structure typically consists of 3 established residential districts arranged in concentric rings around the core, emphasizing the spatial dynamics of the cities. So the Latin American model serves as an insightful framework for understanding urban development in the region, illustrating the complexities of socio-economic interactions and the influence of cultural factors in shaping urban landscapes. So I already mentioned earlier, okay, we can go to the next slide, but already I described earlier in very briefly about inner city, zone of maturity, zone of accretion. So we can move to the next one. I also described a little about this. You can read more on the an expanded description of each of the zones there. And so we can go to the next one. Next slide. Yeah, okay. So the Latin American model, okay, illustrates that one, the complex urban structure of cities within this region. So central to this model, of course, the CBD, as I mentioned earlier, representing the historical and commercial heart of the city. So okay, let's do this one. Favela. So what are the favelas? They emerge as informal settlements characterized by poor quality housing. So it's a very popular term, and we also incorporate in our research, in our reports. So these areas often consist of self-built structures and represent recent informal housing development. So adjacent to the favelas, we find the periferia, it means the periphery, which consists of older informal housing that has seen improvements over time. And this zone is typically more stable compared to favelas, often reflecting the gradual enhancement of living conditions for its residents. And moving outward, we observe high-cost housing zones, which are comprised of luxury flats or detached houses. This area caters to the affluent population, offering a stark contrast to the favelas and peripheria. The industrial zone plays a significant role in this model as well, typically situated along major transport routes to facilitate the movement of goods and services. This strategic placement underscores the importance of accessibility and urban planning. We can go to the next slide. Still Latin American, but so this is about Fuentes on historical evolution of Latin American cities. So just to make sure we understand this one, there are three three stages. So first, the establishment of open borders. Okay, I think this is really important to remember. First, the establishment of open borders created new opportunities for commerce and services. This shift facilitated trade and interaction between regions, leading to an increase in economic activities and the growth of urban centers. Second, the rise of maquiladoras or manufacturing industry. So we already had how many terms? Periferia, favelas, maquiladoras. So, but maquiladoras or manufacturing industries reorganize the urban landscape. These industries often position themselves strategically near borders, competing with existing commercial sectors for optimal locations. This competition transformed urban structures as new industrial zones began to emerge, altering the dynamics of city planning and development. Third, there has been a notable transition from monocentric cities, which are characterized by single dominant centers, to polycentric cities that feature multiple centers of activity. This evolution reflects changes in economic structures, population distribution, and urban functions, resulting in more complex and decentralized urban environments. So these phases illustrates the ongoing or the transformation of urban areas in Latin America, shaped by both local and international influences that have redefined urban growth and organization. So, please note the next slide here. This is very important. We can go to the next slide. Let me just drink some. Okay. Okay. The forces, okay, forces shaping a city. So, lagi itong tinatanong sa board exam, actually. But it's very interesting, because we've known this when we were in grade school, right? Centripetal, centrifugal. But let's see, what are centripetal forces? Because they are also applied to urban planning, the forces shaping a city can be categorized actually into three main components. Centripetal forces, the push forces from rural areas towards the city. So and centrifugal or push forces from the city. So I hope hindi ninyo ma-interchange. So okay, let's tackle centripetal forces, push forces from rural areas towards the city. So attraction is toward the center or toward the city. So what are the dynamics there? First, the clustering of certain functions, which facilitates interaction and efficiency among businesses and services. Then second, maximum accessibility to resources and amenities, drawing individuals and enterprises towards urban centers. Another one is the concept of maximum potential, where the concentration of people and services creates a thriving environment for economic growth. Then the threshold population, ensuring enough demand exists for services and infrastructure. Then the proximity to entertainment. So that's another one. dynamics, which enhances the appeal of urban living. Then there's the prestige associated with a central address, contributing to the desirability of urban locations. Then significant urban-rural wage differentials, right? Where individuals in cities often earn substantially higher incomes than their rural counterparts. Better quality urban services and facilities. So these are all characteristics of that. Enhancing the overall quality of life for city dwellers. Another is the possibility of publicly subsidized goods and services, making urban living more affordable. And finally, the lure of bright lights, which every city now, every municipality now can have bright lights. But this was probably used and because that was in which year was this was conceptualized, but of course it's brighter in metropolitan area, right? So which represents the allure and vibrancy of city life. Then push forces, okay? So the second force or dynamics, push forces from rural areas towards the city arise from various challenges. So what are these? Wars and civil strife. So why is this? Because in wars and civil strifes, it prompts individuals to seek safety and stability in urban areas. So another one, natural calamities also that disrupt livelihood, and then difficult access to land, limiting agricultural opportunities, labor surplus resulting from farm mechanization, as fewer workers are needed in rural agriculture. And then the manipulation of agricultural input and output prices by traders, making rural livelihoods less viable. And lastly, the centrifugal forces that these are or the push forces emanating from the city. So increasing bid rent, congestion, restrictions on city center developments, and a lack of space. Lack of space for what? For expansion, pushing residents to seek more affordable housing options in suburban or rural areas. So do we understand this one? Push forces from rural areas, and then okay, let's start with centripetal forces. Okay, push forces of the city. Okay, and then from the city, and while push forces from rural areas toward the city arise from various challenges. So it is just describing the push forces, meaning what are these challenges? Why it prompts people to leave, and toward the city. They wanted to go to the city. Okay, the push and pull factors, right? So the second one is just the push forces from rural areas towards the city. So the stages of urban, so we can go to the next one, Jen. I think we have few slides na lang. So this one is also very important. I've seen, I from previous board exams, especially during the pre-pandemic, and hindi naman nawawala ito because these are the stages of urban growth. Actually, the highlights of all this one, all consolidated, like models, and these are now it outlines, this provides the outline where how evolution of cities develop economically and socially. So number one, a stage of export specialization. So first, you need to be very familiar with this stage, export specialization. So what is export, right? what is export? We will. I think I also defined them earlier. So what is export? And there were there were some theories and also economic models that I provided to defining what is export. When does a city or a municipality or even a larger, jurisdiction, how it is occurring in a particular jurisdiction. So, for example, a city or municipality. So, this one, stage of export specialization, at this initial stage, the local economy is focused on one principal industry, product, or firm. So cities typically thrive in sectors like natural resources or tourism. For example, towns built around mining or specific tourist attractions exemplify this specialization, like Masbate, for example, or uh, there's that specific town in Masbate, whereby the main, main industry is mining. So, also in Surigao. So we can name those provinces, cities, municipalities that have this one, the towns built around mining or specific tourist attractions, which exemplifies, specialization. So second, there's that stage of export complex. So, paano magbi-build up 'yan, stage na ito, because initial stage yun ano, yung export specialization. Stage of export complex, as cities progress, their economies broaden to include related products or industries. This stage is marked by diversification. For example, Detroit, Michigan, which evolved into a significant car manufacturing center, expanding its economic base beyond, mere specialization. So, how about in your respective cities or municipalities? Do you have this one? Can you imagine something like this it, that these stages were experienced over time? So, the third stage is economic maturation, like maturity, often referred to as the local service sector puberty. So imagine, this stage indicates a shift where the local economy starts replacing imports with locally produced goods and services. This maturation reflects a growing self-sufficiency and resilience within the urban economy. So, and the fourth stage is regional metropolis, stage of regional metropolis. Here, the city transitions into a regional hub, serving as a node for travel and commerce. It starts exporting products and services to nearby satellite cities. For example, an example is, yeah, how do we, yeah, I forgot those examples, but I think I've used Atlanta in the 1960s in my previous lectures, which became pivotal center for trade and services connecting various regions. So this was described in the book, where urban growth was, carefully outlined. So yeah, we need to think about how about in Philippine context, so what do we have which exhibited all these 5 stages. So I hope we understood this, and probably when we try to ponder and balikan ninyo ito, and then try to outline it, which do you think, which cities in the Philippines, and can you provide concrete examples or concrete example of a city or municipality? Kasi sa ano in the 4th stage, it's regional metropolis. So it should be something like a metropolitan level, that it has reached its exporting stage, right? You are experiencing surplus in that specific industry, or probably not only one, but more than one industries. So, and the 5th one, the last stage, is a stage of technical or professional virtuosity. In this final stage, the city achieves national prominence in specific skilled sectors. Cities like Detroit, LA exemplify this stage, demonstrating advanced capabilities in specialized industries, thus becoming key players in the national and even international economy. So, so in Philippines in general, so what do we have? Do we have industries that we have achieved national prominence? Like, for example, because we are number 1 in BPO industry, and so if you try to trace how did we become the top, BPO industry in globally, or the international scale. And then how about other industries in Philippines, or maybe Korea, or Japan? So probably we can trace more industries in Philippines, whereby we can consider that we have achieved national prominence in that specific skilled sector. Okay. So anyway, we can discuss this more and more next time, but um look at that. Okay, maybe we can culminate. We can have still the next slide, Jen. So we can now start to reflect. So why cities grow or don't grow? Because number 1, failure of momentum. So what's that failure of momentum all about? It refers to a city's inability to sustain growth over time, right? So what are the reasons why we failed? We were unable to sustain growth. Number 1, when there's a sudden loss of industry or major employers can halt growth, leading to increased unemployment and decreased investment. So, I think during the pandemic, so specifically, or most especially tourism, right? Because there's parang we paused on that particular industry. We cannot travel, we cannot really focus on that, and no one, of course, we are all we can be we are safest at our homes. So tourism industry was um put to a pause, or it was frozen because of this, but it was just temporary, and now we're again, we are active again in our tourism industry. So, but this one, it specifically points out to economic downturns. So, and then another characteristic or another how we can describe failure of momentum. Another manifestation is when residents move away in search of better opportunities. The city loses both human capital and consumer demand, making it challenging to attract new businesses. So, ito yung sinabi ni Vincent on na brain drain. So, it's one of those causes, one of the possible causes of why there was failure of momentum. We failed to provide opportunities right in our own cities. So, inadequate infrastructure also is one. If infrastructure development does not keep pace with urban expansion, then the city may struggle to support its population, further stalling growth. So overall, maintaining growth momentum is crucial for a city's long-term sustainability and attractiveness. And that's why the Philippines, especially, our country needs more competent planners so that we can facilitate or we can avoid failure of momentum, right? So competition. Number 2 is competition. Competition from neighboring cities can significantly hinder growth also. Like, if neighboring cities offer better job opportunities, amenities, or quality of life, residents may choose to relocate, right? So, or probably they have 2 homes. One, pang weekends and then pang weekdays or something. But most of the expenditures are, focused on the more developed city or the more developed locality. And then competing cities may provide tax incentives, better infrastructure, or improve public services to attract businesses and residents, drawing resources away from the city in question. Another one another example of competition. If regional planning favors specific cities, it may disadvantage others, leading to uneven growth patterns. You remember those theories? Theory of uneven development by Hirschman. You remember that? So, balikan natin ulit yon. So, we can, in studying or preparing for the ENP boards, we really need to have everything in our fingertips. Yun bang, that's why we need 1 year preparation eh. So 6 months would not be, it may guarantee passing the board exam, but it may not guarantee topping the exams. But 1 year, no reason for you not to top. Parang ganun ba yung pwedeng framework natin, isn't it? So that's why, momentum in reviewing also, in learning, in studying, is key, if you really want to make it, if you want to become top-notchers. Kasi if you aim to become top-notcher and then you did not achieve that, then at least you can pass. But if you targeted to become, to become a top-notch or to pass, then ano yung susunod doon? Di failure yon, di ba? So, hindi tayo pwedeng magkampante. And so, sige lang, you just look forward to, everyday nagbabasa kayo, even beyond our review session. Just like, especially, hindi naman gano'n kahirap, hindi naman gano'n kadali yung concepts, di ba? Even those different stages, you need to read it more frequently para mas ma-embrace mo. Kasi you need to be familiar, especially with the terminologies first. Parang ano siya parang you're in law school ba na meron siyang uniqueness in language, in the terminologies, in the everything. Especially so you need also um to be very creative, yung kwan ka ba, and you need to increase your imagination kasi if you just become familiar, then probably you can guarantee passing. But if you master it, you can guarantee topping exams. So, let me continue that. Konti na lang. That's competition, di ba? So, I provided you different examples on why cities don't grow because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, we're on number 2. That's competition. That, di ba, sa regional planning, that for example, NEDA would create a specific regional strategy, like for example, establishing a growth corridor. So probably out of 5 provinces, it would benefit only 2 provinces for that growth corridor. So it will disadvantage the 3 others. And so that's competition that it favored because of some reasons. Parang ganon. It may disadvantage others, leading to what? To uneven growth patterns, which now we can confirm that, those theories could also be true in this particular case, like the theory of uneven development by Hirschman. So, okay, number 3, lack of natural advantages. Number 3 there. So cities without natural advantages such as geographic location, resources, or historical significance may struggle to grow. And what are some of these considerations I mentioned about geographical location? Cities located in less favorable areas, like they are remote, with limited access to transport routes, or they are conflict areas, so may have difficulties attracting investment and talent. Another one, resources. So it's not available. So cities that lack natural resources like minerals may find it challenging to develop industries that could drive economic growth. Another one, cities that have not historically served as cultural or economic hubs may find it harder to compete with established urban centers. So addressing these limitations often requires targeted strategies to enhance local assets or create new economic opportunities. Then the fourth one there is lack of cultivated talent or urban management. So what do we mean by that? So which examples, like if the local workforce lacks the necessary skills or education, businesses may struggle to find qualified employees, skilled employees, limiting economic development. Another one, ineffective governance can lead to poor urban planning, inadequate public services, and a lack of investment in infrastructure, all of which impede growth. So probably walang ENP in that particular city or municipality, which is happening now, right? So, then pasok ka dun sa number 4, that why cities do not grow. So, another one is successful cities often employ innovative urban management techniques that prioritize sustainability, efficiency, inclusivity, and more. And without these strategies, cities may stagnate. So, balik pa rin doon sa skills gap. 'Di ba? Skills gap, lack of leadership, governance, etc. So, investing in education and effective governance is vital for nurturing talent and ensuring effective urban management. And the last one there is, of course, there are more factors, right? But this is based on what you're just saying there, economic restructuring. So how do we understand this? That why economic structuring can both stimulate and limit growth. What are these factors? Shift in industry. So as economies transition from manufacturing to service-oriented industries, cities that do not adapt may see declines in traditional sectors and job losses. So what are those factors what involved there? Technology, skills, again skills, but of course it speaks about economies or economic transitions here. Another one, increased competition from abroad may threaten local industries, necessitating adaptation and diversification industries. Then, so I mentioned technological advancement, that cities that fail to keep pace with technological changes may lose out to competitors that embrace innovation. So while economic restructuring presents challenges, it also offers opportunities for cities to invent themselves and foster new industries. So, okay, so where's the last slide there? So maybe we can advance to the next slide. So now there's that post-industrial in the age of information. So you can read that phenomenon, because that spoke about phenomenon of deindustrialization in historic cities, particularly in Europe and North America, that marked a significant shift in urban development. So it spoke about trend which encompasses the decline of traditional manufacturing cities. So you can also read some of those why cities grow and don't grow, and those shifts aligns with the international division of labor conceptualized by neoliberal economics. You can read that. It also spoke about ICT, that in the information revolution since 1970s that transformed urban landscapes. So okay, if you can read there, coupled with the baby boom, this revolution has given rise to what we now refer to as the post-industry society, one centered around knowledge and innovation. So ICTs have profound implications for the spatial organizations of human activities. Yeah. Then, okay, just to make sure, yeah, we cannot skip this one. Edge Cities, can you move to the next slide? The Edge Cities by Joel Garyu in 1991. The concept of edge cities, as articulated by Joel Garyu, highlights the emergence of alternate CBDs located in urban peripheries. I have a book na ganyan. So, yeah, often referred to as fringe cities. Okay, these locations are gaining traction as centers of economic activity, attracting capital and skilled individuals away from historical central cities. So historically, the functions that once defined central cities are now being distributed across multiple urban nodes. So it also defined edge cities. So and it says there that several factors have contributed to the growth of edge cities. Financial globalization is one, corporate restructuring, including streamlining processes, breakups, and mergers. So that has reshaped production dynamics, and this transformation, combined with neoliberal tenets such as, what are these neoliberal tenets? They are deregulation, privatization, bureaucratization of firms that facilitated the movement of economic activities away from historic city centers. So in summary, the emergence of edge cities represents a significant shift in urban development patterns, reflecting broader trends in economic restructuring and globalization. So the last one there is okay, we go to the last slide because this was given also a number of times in the board exam. That's why it's there. So optimum size of city. So that's the concept, and it was a critical framework. It's a critical framework in urban planning and economic development. So this concept suggests that a city must attain a specific size to effectively address the investment decisions that correlate with its economic landscape. So it's about economics. It is in the context of economic landscape. Also, as the concept speaks about, that a city that achieves this optimum size fosters a collective understanding of its challenges and opportunities, ultimately leading to more coordinated responses to urban issues. So it provided criteria. So to qualify as an optimum city by Leo Classen, several criteria must be met. Number one, size for economic viability, that such that the city must be large enough to engage in significant investment decisions, ensuring that it can effectively serve its population. So this economic size provides a foundation for a cohesive approach to urban development, allows for a heightened awareness of local problems. Another criteria is that a successful city should contain at least one growth pole. Okay. So do you remember the definition of growth pole? These are areas within a city that acts as catalyst for economic development, drawing resources, labor, and investments to stimulate further growth. Then third is that the city must possess the capability to supply its own industry with necessary labor. And the next one, the ideal city should exhibit a homogeneous economic structure which enables a more efficient allocation of resources and minimizes economic disparities within the city. And there are 6. So the fifth one is the population size considerations. It says the minimum population size for an optimum city ranges between 200,000 and 600,000 inhabitants. Okay, that this range reflects a threshold. That's why it's optimum size of the city, because this range reflects a threshold that allows for sufficient economic interaction and infrastructural support. So another one is, while the city needs a minimum population to thrive, it also requires a limit on population size to maintain equilibrium. So it speaks about equilibrium. The maximum size represents the point at which cost and benefits converge, preventing the city from facing overwhelming challenges due to overpopulation. So I think that's the end of this theory. So we can now have next meeting another examination, so mock exam regarding what I discussed tonight. So thank you again for tonight, and you can sleep well. Then it's almost 11 p.m. So thank you. So
Pa-open na lang po ng camera.
okay. Good night.
Alive na alive pa si Sir James. So.
Okay.
Okay, ready? In 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you everyone. Good night.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Good night. Study well. Bye. Okay.